Hey guys, welcome back to We Are Cosmic. I hope everyone's having an amazing day wherever you are. If you're new here, I'm the one who dives deep into everything crypto, bringing you updates, insights, and analysis that actually matter if you're holding digital assets like XRP or just curious about the future of finance. Today we've got some huge news that you don't want to miss because it's about XRP, the Clarity Act, and why investors all over the world are suddenly paying close attention to this digital asset. Trust me, what I'm about to share is not just hype. It's real, and it could change the way people view XRP in the next 48 hours. So stick with me, grab a coffee, and let's break this down. Let's start with the Clarity Act. If you've been following crypto news, you know that this legislation has been creating a lot of buzz. Eleanor Tarrant, who's been keeping a close eye on this, recently called the current situation the stablecoin standoff. Basically, right now, crypto leaders and traditional bank leaders are at a deadlock. The White House has given them a deadline by the end of this month, February 2026, to come to some sort of agreement. No deal yet, but the pressure is real, and every move counts. The Digital Chamber, which represents around 130 crypto firms and several traditional banks investing in digital assets, just published their version of principles. They're trying to find a balance, letting stablecoins generate yield within decentralized finance while still preserving their role as payment instruments, protecting liquidity, and keeping the dollar dominant in global finance. It's complicated stuff, but it's basically the foundation for how crypto and traditional finance can work together without stepping on each other's toes. Banks haven't fully endorsed these principles yet. A source close to the Senate Banking Committee told Crypto in America that while the document is constructive, some proposals might be too broad to get full bank support. That's where the next big meeting comes in. Patrick Witt, the executive director of the White House Crypto Council, mentioned to Yahoo Finance that they're planning another closed-door meeting soon. Last week's meeting didn't result in a deal, but this one could be different. These meetings are important because every decision and discussion impacts XRP, other digital assets, and how institutions decide to invest in crypto moving forward. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Grayscale, which is the world's largest digital asset investment platform and has been around since 2013, put out an update recently. Advisors at Grayscale are telling us that clients are constantly asking about XRP. In some cases, it's the second most talked about asset right after Bitcoin. That's huge. Why? Because XRP isn't a new project or a random shiny object in the crypto world. It's battle tested. It has been around for years, and unlike thousands of other projects that come and go, XRP has survived, adapted, and grown. Investors looking to put serious capital into the market are naturally drawn to assets that have real use cases and proven stability, and XRP fits that description perfectly. XRP's value isn't just speculation. Its role in cross-border payments, faster and cheaper transactions, and a growing network of institutional adoption make it extremely relevant. Ripple has positioned XRP in global finance in a way no other digital asset has, working with central banks, institutions, and even global organizations. That creates a network effect. And when investors look for serious long-term opportunities, they see XRP as a safe, efficient, and forward-looking option. And here's the kicker. Permission decks for XRP are going live in less than 48 hours. This is huge because it enables compliant trading on the XRP ledger. Institutions need these compliance features to adopt XRP at scale. Without them, banks can't fully participate. So the next 2 days could be massive for XRP holders and anyone interested in how crypto is integrating into mainstream finance. So guys, buckle up. We're entering a week where everything could shift. From the Clarity Act updates to the Grayscale investor insights and the XRP permission decks going live, there's a lot to watch. Over the next few segments, we'll break down why this matters, what it means for investors, and how you can understand XRP's place in the bigger picture of crypto and finance. All right, guys, picking up from where we left off, let's talk more about why XRP is suddenly becoming a hot topic among investors and why Grayscale's latest insights are creating such a buzz. When advisors at Grayscale say their clients are constantly asking about XRP, it's not just a casual mention, it shows there's serious demand building. Investors are looking for digital assets that are not just trendy, but have real-world applications, and that's exactly what XRP brings to the table. Unlike newer projects that pop up and vanish overnight, XRP has been around for over a decade, and it has consistently proven its utility in the financial world. That's a huge differentiator. One thing people often miss is how XRP fits into cross-border payments. Traditional international transfers can take days and cost a lot in fees. Banks have to move money across multiple intermediaries, and every step adds friction. XRP changes that by enabling near-instant settlement at a fraction of the cost. That's why Ripple has been actively working with institutions and central banks globally. They are building a network effect where banks not only adopt XRP, but also create a kind of infrastructure that makes the asset even more useful. When an investor looks at XRP today, they're not just seeing a cryptocurrency, they're seeing a solution that financial institutions can integrate into their operations. This real-world utility is what makes XRP different from many other tokens that exist purely for speculation. Now, let's focus on Grayscale again. They're a powerhouse in digital asset investment and have been operating in a regulated space for years. They specialize in products like trusts and ETFs that investors can access in a safe, structured way. So when they report that XRP is the second most discussed asset among their client base, it's a very strong signal. This isn't social media hype. These are serious investors and advisors talking about real money. People who have the resources to make substantial investments are asking about XRP, and that's why this moment is critical. If you're following crypto, understanding the demand from serious investors gives you context for why the market reacts the way it does. What makes XRP even more appealing to these investors is that it's battle-tested. In crypto, many projects launch, pump in price for a few weeks, and then fade into obscurity. XRP has survived regulatory challenges, market cycles, and still maintains relevance. That kind of resilience builds confidence, which is exactly what institutions want before committing large amounts of capital. They aren't looking for something flashy. They're looking for something sustainable, scalable, and compliant, and XRP fits all three boxes. Speaking of compliance, this is where the upcoming permission decks for XRP become crucial. Less than 48 hours from now, these decks will activate, making compliant trading on the XRP ledger possible. For institutions, compliance isn't optional. Banks and major investors can't adopt technology that doesn't meet regulatory standards. The permission decks ensure that institutions can carry out their compliance requirements effectively, which opens the door for large-scale adoption. This is why the next 2 days are so important. It's not just a technical update, it's a potential catalyst for institutional involvement in XRP. Another key point to understand is the network Ripple has built with institutions, central banks, and global financial organizations. By positioning XRP as a solution for cross-border payments and financial liquidity, Ripple has created a unique market position. Investors recognize that, and it makes their decision-making simpler. They're not just evaluating the token, they're evaluating the entire system Ripple has created, the partnerships, and the infrastructure supporting long-term adoption. In a world where thousands of crypto projects fail, XRP stands out as an asset with proven credibility, real use cases, and strong institutional backing. So as we track developments in the Clarity Act and observe how permission decks roll out, it's important to remember why XRP matters to serious investors. It's not hype. It's about utility, compliance, and a network effect that can't be easily replicated. Understanding this gives you an edge if you're looking to position yourself in the crypto space strategically rather than chasing short-term gains. All right, guys, now that we've talked about why XRP is catching the attention of serious investors, let's dive deeper into the Clarity Act and why it could be a game changer for XRP and the crypto market as a whole. The Clarity Act is creating a lot of discussion because it's trying to set clear rules for how digital assets like XRP can operate alongside traditional finance. Right now, one of the biggest challenges for crypto is uncertainty. Banks and regulators want to know exactly how they can use these assets without running into legal problems. That's where the Clarity Act comes in. It's aiming to provide a framework that protects investors, allows innovation, and ensures compliance with existing financial laws. Eleanor Tarrant called the current situation the stablecoin standoff 9, and it makes sense. Stablecoins are at the center of this debate because they are widely used in payments, lending, and decentralized finance, DeFi. The problem is regulators and banks are cautious. They want to make sure stablecoins don't disrupt the financial system or pose risks to the dollar's dominance. The Digital Chamber, which represents over 130 crypto firms and some banks, has proposed principles to allow stablecoins to generate yield within DeFi, preserve their role as payment instruments, and create a data-driven framework for assessing impact. It's a careful balancing act. They're trying to encourage innovation while keeping risks under control. For XRP, this is particularly important. Regulatory clarity removes uncertainty, and that's what institutions and serious investors are looking for. When advisors at firms like Grayscale say their clients constantly ask about XRP, it's not just because of the technology, it's because they want to know that it can operate safely within the legal framework. Investors don't want surprises, and they don't want to put capital into an asset that might get shut down or restricted. The Clarity Act, if implemented thoughtfully, could remove a lot of those doubts and open the door for more institutional adoption of XRP. Now, let's talk about how this links to adoption and growth. XRP already has a strong track record in cross-border payments. Ripple has built a network of banks, payment providers, and even central banks that rely on XRP for faster, cheaper, and more efficient transactions. But legal clarity is what will allow more institutions to fully embrace it. When permission decks go live in the next 48 hours, it will create a compliant environment for trading XRP on the ledger. This is huge because institutions can't participate without meeting regulatory standards. They need certainty, and the combination of regulatory clarity from the Clarity Act and the technical compliance enabled by the permission decks makes XRP very appealing for large-scale adoption. Another reason this matters is that investors are now looking beyond short-term gains. Many newcomers to crypto are attracted to get-rich-quick projects, meme coins, or the latest trendy token. But seasoned investors, those who are putting significant capital into digital assets, look for stability, compliance, and real-world utility. XRP has all of that. It's been battle-tested through multiple market cycles, survived regulatory scrutiny, and has built a global network effect. That positions it as one of the few digital assets that serious investors feel confident putting money into for the long term. And let's not forget the ripple effect, pun intended. As more banks and institutions adopt XRP for cross-border payments, more use cases develop. Payment providers start integrating XRP, remittance companies can use it to lower fees, and even smaller institutions can access a global network for efficient transactions. This is why network effects matter. The more participants use XRP, the more valuable it becomes, and the more investors trust it as a legitimate financial tool. So when you put it all together, the Clarity Act, the growing demand from investors, the upcoming permission decks, and XRP's network of institutional partnerships, it's clear that this is a critical moment for the asset. It's not just about price speculation, it's about understanding how XRP is positioning itself as a long-term solution in global finance. The next few days and weeks could be transformative. All right, guys, now let's break down something that's extremely important for XRP and its future, permission decks. I know it might sound technical at first, but I'll make it simple. Think of permission decks as a kind of safety gate for institutions. Banks, investment firms, and other large players can't just jump in and trade any digital asset. They need to make sure everything is fully compliant with regulations. Permission decks do exactly that. They allow institutions to trade XRP on the ledger in a way that meets legal standards, ensures proper reporting, and prevents any regulatory issues. Without this, many banks simply won't participate. It's like having a passport or a security badge. They can't operate at scale without it. The exciting part is that permission decks are going live in less than 48 hours. This isn't just a technical update, it's a major enabler for institutional adoption. Imagine you're a big bank looking to integrate digital assets into your operations. You need compliance tools, legal clarity, and the confidence that your investment is safe. The permission decks provide all of that for XRP. That's why investors and institutions have been watching this development closely. For the first time, there's a clear path for large-scale compliant adoption, and that could drive significant activity in the XRP ecosystem. Grayscale's reports give us insight into how investors are responding to this. Advisors are telling us that clients frequently ask about XRP, sometimes as the second most talked about asset after Bitcoin. This is no coincidence. Institutional investors are looking for assets that are battle-tested with real-world applications and regulatory clarity. XRP fits all these requirements. It has been around for over a decade, has survived multiple market cycles, and has a proven network of institutional partnerships. That stability and reliability make it highly attractive for serious investment. Now let's talk about why this matters beyond just trading. When institutions start adopting XRP using permission DEX, it creates a network effect. More banks and payment providers start integrating XRP into their systems. Remittance companies can reduce costs for sending money internationally. Smaller institutions gain access to a global payment network. Every new participant strengthens the ecosystem, which in turn increases confidence and adoption. It's a cycle. Adoption drives utility, utility attracts more investors, and more investors drive further adoption. XRP is uniquely positioned to benefit from this because of its existing infrastructure and global partnerships. Another important point is compliance. Many crypto projects fail to gain institutional trust because they don't meet regulatory standards. XRP with permission DEX solves this problem. Banks can trade, settle, and move capital without worrying about legal or operational risks. This is why serious investors are watching closely. They want assets that are not only innovative but also safe for long-term growth. XRP provides both. It's not just about speculation, it's about creating a bridge between traditional finance and digital assets. Finally, think about timing. Permission DEX are going live just as regulatory clarity is improving with the Clarity Act discussions. This combination is powerful. Legal certainty plus technical compliance creates an environment where institutions feel confident putting large amounts of capital into XRP. It's one of those moments in crypto where real progress is happening quietly behind the scenes, but the effects could be massive once adoption starts rolling. Alright guys, now that we've talked about permission DEX and institutional adoption, let's zoom out a bit and look at why XRP stands out in the crypto world. One of the reasons serious investors are so interested is because XRP has real-world use cases that go beyond speculation. Unlike many tokens that exist only on paper or for short-term trading, XRP solves actual problems in global finance. Cross-border payments are a perfect example. Traditionally, sending money internationally can take days and involve multiple banks, each adding fees and delays. XRP allows these transactions to happen almost instantly and at a fraction of the cost. That's huge for banks, payment providers, and companies dealing with international trade. Another key point is the network Ripple has built over the years. XRP isn't just a cryptocurrency. It's part of a system that includes institutions, central banks, and payment providers all over the world. This network effect is hard to replicate. The more organizations that adopt XRP, the more valuable and efficient the system becomes. Investors notice this because it reduces risk. They know that XRP isn't a temporary trend. It's supported by real-world infrastructure that's already in use. This is why advisors at firms like Grayscale report constant interest from clients. Serious investors want assets that are durable, scalable, and practical. XRP ticks all these boxes. Now, let's talk about XRP's survival story. In crypto, thousands of projects have launched and vanished in a matter of months. Many of these were hype-driven and left investors with losses. XRP, however, has been around for over a decade. It has faced regulatory challenges, market volatility, and skepticism, yet it has consistently adapted and grown stronger. This history builds confidence for long-term investors. They know that XRP has weathered storms before and has a strong foundation to continue growing. It's not just another pump-and-dump token. It's a tried-and-true asset that has proven its resilience over time. Investors also appreciate the utility and clarity XRP provides. From cross-border payments to liquidity solutions for banks, Ripple has positioned XRP as a tool for real financial operations. This isn't about speculation. It's about using XRP as a functioning part of the global financial system. When you combine this with the upcoming permission DEX and regulatory clarity from the Clarity Act, you start to see why XRP is appealing to institutions and serious investors alike. They want certainty, compliance, and proven performance, and XRP delivers all three. Another reason XRP has long-term potential is its adoption by global institutions. Ripple has formed partnerships with central banks, major financial organizations, and payment providers worldwide. This means XRP isn't just a niche product, it's integrated into systems that handle real money and real transactions. As more institutions adopt XRP, its value and utility grow. Investors who recognize this see a digital asset that has both immediate use and long-term scalability. Finally, the upcoming weeks are crucial. With permission DEX going live and ongoing developments around the Clarity Act, XRP is positioned for a major shift in adoption. It's a unique moment where technology, regulation, and demand from serious investors are all aligning. For anyone watching the crypto space, this isn't just an update, it's a signal of long-term trends that could define XRP's role in global finance. All right, guys, now it's time to wrap everything together and look at the big picture for XRP, the Clarity Act, and what's coming in the next few weeks. We've already talked about permission DEX, institutional adoption, XRP's real-world use cases, and its survival story. Now, let's connect the dots so you can really understand why this is such an important moment in the crypto space. First, the Clarity Act. This is a piece of legislation that's trying to provide clear rules for digital assets. Right now, one of the biggest barriers for banks and institutions adopting crypto is uncertainty. They need to know that they can trade and use digital assets without running into regulatory problems. The Clarity Act aims to give them that certainty. Once this framework is in place, it allows crypto to operate alongside traditional finance safely. For XRP, this means more institutions can adopt it confidently, knowing the rules are defined and compliance requirements are clear. This is huge because adoption by serious players drives long-term value, not just short-term price spikes. Next, the permission DEX. These are going live in less than 48 hours, and they're essentially the technical backbone for compliant institutional trading. Banks and other large investors can't just trade on the ledger without meeting legal standards. Permission DEX make this possible. This is a turning point because it's one thing to have a digital asset that works technically, but it's another to make it fully usable by regulated institutions. Once these DEX are live, large-scale adoption can finally happen, which could dramatically increase liquidity and usage of XRP in real-world financial operations. Then there's the institutional interest, which we can't ignore. Firms like Grayscale report that XRP is one of the most asked about assets after Bitcoin. This isn't hype. These are serious investors looking for stable, reliable, and compliant assets. They want something that has real-world utility and a proven track record. XRP fits that perfectly. It has been around for over a decade, survived market cycles, regulatory challenges, and has established partnerships with banks, central banks, and global payment networks. This combination of credibility, utility, and compliance makes XRP extremely attractive for long-term investors. Looking at XRP's real-world impact, it's clear why it matters. Cross-border payments, liquidity solutions for banks, and the network Ripple has built all make XRP more than just a cryptocurrency. It's a global financial tool. As more institutions adopt it, the network effect grows stronger, which in turn increases confidence and usage. This is how XRP continues to survive and thrive, while thousands of other crypto projects fade away. Its resilience and utility are exactly what seasoned investors look for when allocating large sums of capital. Finally, the future outlook. The next few weeks are critical. Permission DEX going live, ongoing updates around the Clarity Act, and increasing institutional demand all point to a potential tipping point for XRP adoption. Investors should pay attention to how banks and financial institutions react, whether more partnerships are announced, and how liquidity on XRP trading platforms changes. These factors will indicate the pace at which XRP could integrate into mainstream finance. In simple terms, XRP's story is about more than price. It's about utility, regulatory clarity, adoption, and network effects. It's about building a digital asset that can actually work in the real world, and that's why serious investors are paying attention. For anyone holding XRP or thinking about entering the space, understanding these dynamics gives you a clear perspective on why XRP remains one of the strongest digital assets in the market today. So, to sum it up, the Clarity Act is bringing regulatory clarity, permission DEX are enabling compliant trading, institutional interest is growing, and XRP's utility and network effect make it resilient and long-term viable. Keep an eye on these developments in the coming weeks because they will likely shape XRP's position in global finance for years to come. That's it for this series, guys. Thanks for sticking with me through all 6 parts. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. Stay tuned on We Are Cosmic because we'll continue bringing you the latest updates and insights from the crypto universe.